Okay, let me say, got it, and get rid of that. Okay. Start with approval of the minutes from April 20th.
Yeah, but just the typos,
What's that, Joe?
on page 1, under item 3, number 1, chairman's report, turtle lot is spelled wrong. Pathway program.
Oh, Turtleoot?
Yep. And,
Yep.
got that one?
I do, yes.
Okay, and then on the second page, number 4, under 11th Village update, Trumbull is spelled wrong. Town of Trumbull. I got.
Okay.
Well, if that's all we have, you're doing good, Heather.
Yes.
This was a
Well,
lot
Brian
of.
Lafredo hasn't looked over it yet, so.
Yeah, I didn't this month.
Okay, let's move on then. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as modified?
I will. Joanne will.
I'll second.
Charlie's ready to second. Any
Well.
more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes, minutes are accepted. Reports. I have, stuff. Still working on that June 25th collaboration business expo TBA Thompson Rec. We have 2 food trucks, an ice cream truck. Brian Levency was thinking of getting another truck. But we'll see how that goes. And I'm working on getting classic cars. We also last week had the TBA barbecue mixer.
How did that go?
That really good job by Maria Thomas and the hometown crew. They did such a nice job putting it all together. G7 was there catering. We had beer, water. You had tickets for up to 2 free drinks. Had 65 different guests from different companies were registered. They had a really nice 10 raffle prizes that were really good. WINY was there. We met a lot of people, even people in the business association that we hadn't met yet. So no, it was great. And to do it in the shredding event just took over the town. We were just shocked at the number of people tried to pack into the parking lot. Lucky it wasn't the same parking lot. So yeah, that all went really, really well. Like I said, I got to hand it to Hometown Bank for helping put this together. And we're another note, we are continuing to promote the business of the month through TBA and using the town hall sign. So the businesses are noticing that, and it makes them feel like they want to be involved. It's just another perk.
Yeah, that looks nice, I think, coming in and seeing that. It's just a sort of a nice acknowledgement of local businesses. So that was, I don't know whose idea that was, but that was a good one.
That was mine. I actually had one.
Excellent idea, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, anything else I have to say, I can touch on the commercial real estate group and Maker Fair, and those are agenda items, so we'll do that later. So, Joe, treasurer.
I have $14,597.06 left in the budget.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, Joanne is the celebrity this week. She's in that little free paper with Remax. Her picture is in there.
Oh, somebody actually read the shopper's guide?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And your picture's on the wall now, right next to the dartboard.
Okay. Well, I'm glad my paid advertisement, somebody saw it. Okay, thank you.
But it's been
Okay.
recycled already.
Moving on, update on businesses in Thompson. You guys got the information for the Tri-State Food Equipment Services on Sandam Road and Flawless Cleaning Services on Riverside Drive.
Is that food equipment services a home occupation, or is that
It was a regular,
non-home based business?
yeah, it was a regular Tri-State Food Equipment, regular certificate of adoption of trade name, not just a home occ.
Where are they located?
Sandam Road.
403 Sandam Road.
But
Interesting.
the information that we got on the email didn't describe what it is, but I have the impression that somebody loads up their truck at their house and drives out to work.
No, I think I put, it's food equipment repair and service.
Yeah.
So they're not doing food, they're doing equipment.
Correct. And they could be going to a McDonald's or LB's and cleaning up their soda machine for them.
Could be. It doesn't say mobile or
Yeah.
not, Charlie. It just says, what I put in the paper.
Yeah, I know. That's what I interpreted from my background. I just thought made
Okay, yeah.
sense. Terry, you might
it does make
remember
sense.
John Honing spoke
John
about
Hoenig, yeah.
Monique?
building some sort of condos for people to park their trucks underneath. I don't know of any building permits on Sandam Road. This guy could just be working out of his garage, but that
Well,
con,
if the address is 403, that's just a regular residence. So I guess
Yeah.
it would be a home occ.
yeah,
Yes.
well, the whole concept seems to be taken off everywhere. He's the first one I heard suggesting it. And then
So-
you and I spoke about it on the way back from his office, but it's a good concept. We could do well.
Get back to that trade name, that is a home occ. It's actually, they're pretty established business. I think they mostly operate in Worcester. But
Oh, really?
I think it's a father and son thing. But probably because he bought in Thompson, then they're operating something out of the, probably just the office, really.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, it doesn't go into detail on the
Yeah,
sheet.
it's, I think I had a conversation with them and they primarily, are in Worcester, of course, where all the business is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, another note, I did finally get over to Piccolo Pomodoro. It's hard to go anywhere nowadays because everything is so expensive, but it was good. First time I've been there, I wanted to at least, get to our local business. And
Do
I
you
still
have any sense of how well they're doing over there?
They seem to be happy. I mean, I asked how it's going. And the food was good. My wife is sometimes hard to please. Well, she doesn't like, I'll eat almost anything unless it's cabbage. But no, she really liked it. And then we tried their pizza a couple of days later because somebody had ordered pizza and we saw it. And she liked that too. It took a long time for her to go to the last place.
Monte Bianco?
Yeah. It wasn't until COVID that she stopped one day and did takeout and loved it. And I had been there, but she wouldn't try it.
I haven't driven by there in a while. Have they done anything to clean up that exterior? Because I always thought that was a big problem for Monte Bianco. I mean, locals obviously knew it was there, but you're driving by and
Yeah, the
No.
problem is they
Oh,
don't
the
own the
outside still
building.
looks about the same.
Yeah, it looks
It
the
does.
same. That's what I was disappointed in drafters too, that they didn't do anything with that exterior. It's, people are moving in, but the buildings still look, ugh.
Yeah, but Piccolo, they don't own that.
No,
They only own the business. So as far as any updates and changes in the building, it's not theirs.
Who does own it?
Same owner that owned Slices and owned Monte Bianco. They didn't sell the building.
No, I mean, who does own the building?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember who it is.
I'm
They've been
wondering if
putting-
we might be able to find some ideas out already from formulating about
I-
urban renewal grants that could be available to help spruce up Main Street in the corridor district. We might be able to be like we helped out with the brownfields at the mill. We might be able to help with something like that. And I don't know. I'm saying maybe right from the beginning.
I think Drafters does own the building. If
Yeah.
I heard you say otherwise.
Yeah, I think Drafters bought that building, but Piccolo
You're talking about-
Pomodoro does not own the building.
You're talking about the big building, what was it, the American, not the American Legion, the Knights of
Knight-
Columbus?
Yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, that business company did buy the building. Absolutely, Drafters did buy that. I
Yeah.
thought you were talking about Monte Bianco building.
Yeah,
That
Well,
was-
I was.
we were. It's two parallel conversations about two places that opened restaurant businesses relatively close together, and the fact that the
Yeah.
exteriors haven't been improved. One of them is self-owned and one of them is not, is what we're hearing here.
Yeah, and Drafters may get around to it. They've been doing a lot of stuff, Charlie. I mean, they did some work inside and they're, oh, yeah. I'll mention them later too. But yeah,
gotta
maybe they
invite
do
the-
have a plan outside.
We got to invite the guy to be on a committee to help us design what Main Street will look like.
well, we went to Jill and G's for the first time. Was it Friday? With Tommy Angelo and Heather O'Rourke to watch the guy who he plays or has played with him at least up in Dudley. And they were packed. The bar seats were full, the tables were full. I don't know if it was the entertainment or they're just drawing well on weekends. Service was excellent. Food was pretty good. It was in the price range I expected. And like you, Yacino, my wife is very picky and she liked her food and her drinks were sufficient for the price. So that went well. And we have coming up Saturday night viewing our very own Tira there.
Okay, yeah, does anybody have anything else for businesses?
Oh yeah, I did go to a Yukon thing last week. It's unrelated to town, but it was a brewery called Kinsman Brewery in Milldale, part of Southington. It was an old factory, and I mean this place was huge. You walk in, you go to the right, and you see the brewery portion, sort of like Leslie's other half's place, only twice as big. Then the bar area and the seating area was huge. And if you go the other direction, they had a big event space, which is where this was held. And it was packed because it was a Yukon thing and advertised across the community. And it just shows that there's opportunities for that type of event if you bring in people that people want to see. Maybe something like that'll happen in the mill when he sets up some kind of, or when someone opens a brew pub type of thing there.
Well,
Oh,
he's,
and
he's
talked about
definitely
it.
always been talking about that since go. So I think you can expect to see some similar kind of thing, once that's sufficiently down the line. I think observing trends, I feel pretty confident in saying there is no end in sight for the brew pub or craft brewery boomlet. For
Yeah.
better or for worse, America is a nation that likes to drink.
And
And
you can take an old facility like that and
yeah.
turn it into something, and they spent some money inside. It looked pretty nice. It didn't, wasn't all fancy and stuff, but it showed they did some work to make it a nice facility. I was also by Four Corners a few days ago. I forget the name of the pub up there, and their parking lot. And I think Max has also expanded their dining. They're now Tuesday through Saturday, I think, through Tuesday through Sunday.
I noticed that it was open yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there.
No, that's good activity up on that side of town, up in Quinnebog. So that's also good for business.
Yep. All right, moving on, we have citizens' comments, but no citizens, so we're good.
Well, Amy is in now, just so you know, she did come in.
Well, I thought she was, oh, okay. I saw the note down there and I thought it meant that she was not going to be in.
No, she was just typing and not speaking.
I'm here.
Hi.
No, I was at the Woodstock Builders Associates, Woodstock Building Associates. Their business after hours was tonight. So, and ribbon cutting. So, and they're technically a Thompson business, so it's good to have them in Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
So that is on the Thompson side.
It's on the Thompson side.
I cannot
great.
figure out that little area.
It has like I think it has a Woodstock mailing address, but it is a Thompson business and we collect Thompson taxes on it.
All right, well,
Yeah.
that is good to know.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
a beautiful, they renovated it beautifully. I wouldn't have expected anything less from Doug, so.
And which
That's why
place is this?
The old, on Route 171, the old
The old-
Village Restaurant.
Cards,
Okay,
Because-
yeah.
Cards
Yeah.
Plaza, where the package store used to be. That's why
Yes,
the
there
package.
used to be a package store there. That's
The
right.
package store, owned by the same guy that owns, Thompson Liquors. No, it's not. It's,
No,
by the other person. That's in Thompson, and the old restaurant that used to have live music is,
Village-
where they sell modern kitchens now. That's in
Bill-
Thompson. The garden
Right.
center is in Worcester. Or
Woodstock.
Webster.
yes.
That's why they had the
Woodstock.
package store.
Thank you. Moment.
What are you saying, Joanne?
I said that's why the configuration was so that the Thompson liquor store could be in Thompson. It wasn't in Woodstock, although it looked like it was in Woodstock. That whole plaza looks like it's in Woodstock, but it's not. But
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's why the package store can't be in Woodstock.
It's a very confusing little area.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I don't have anything under old business. Everything is under progress reports. The only new business is finally Renee is officially our alternate and the website's been updated and we have a full slate.
Yay.
Yay.
I will just touch on something under new business. I got in my email on Monday a notice for a small business loan from the Women's Business Development Council. I think I emailed this to everybody, that they are opening up a round of grants specifically for women-owned businesses. I will be attending a webinar tomorrow morning. It looks like it's just a half-hour webinar that they have specifically for not applicants, but for people who might be helping support applicants, like economic development commissioners or like, planning and development staff. And that opens on Monday with an application deadline of the 3rd of July. And they are grants of up to $10,000 to women-owned businesses in the state of Connecticut who have been in business for 2 or more years and have revenues between $25,000 and $2 million. I assume that means annually. Yeah, so I'm gonna find out more, but Yacino, I mentioned this to you, of course, to bring over to Thompson Business Association to the next meeting. And Renee, I would suggest that maybe we should get this in that that banner, that rotating banner where we had the COVID information on the homepage. I might still be authorized on that, but that seems like an easy thing to share that could be beneficial.
Well, absolutely. I actually can think of one woman-owned business off the top of my head that might qualify.
Well, there you
And
go.
it's a grant, meaning it doesn't have to get paid back.
It is a grant, not a loan. There is a match requirement, I think, of 25%. So
Okay.
if you're asking for
And
the
it-
full 10,000, you have to have 2,500 of your own to invest.
And you don't know just yet what the restrictions are as far as what it could be used for.
Let's see, I'm opening up the info sheet now. Eligibility, businesses must be at least 51% woman-owned, have been established for at least 2 years, have a record of annual sales in the last 12 months greater than 25,000 and less than 2 million, be headquartered in Connecticut, registered in the state of Connecticut, and owned by a Connecticut resident, be owned by a woman at least 18 years old, be in good standing with Connecticut DRS, have an established business checking account, utilize a formal digital bookkeeping financial system, be a for-profit business or a nonprofit that derives 75% or more of the organization's revenue from a social enterprise. Oh, here we go. Here's the limit. The grants will be awarded for clearly defined projects that will have a measurable impact on the business, its growth and profitability. The grant funds cannot be used towards standard operating expenses, payroll, or real estate improvements. So it's essentially it's an expansion grant.
That's great. Awesome.
Okay, yeah, I took some notes. We'll
So
see how
what
that goes.
So what is it that you need to do now? Do we have to approve something, or are you just going to?
No, I'm just informing you of it. And mostly, like I said, since Yacino will, Dan and I will all be attending the TBA meeting before our next monthly meeting, something to share with the business community in that way. And then, Renee and I can just get a copy of the flyer up on the website. And I'll attend the webinar tomorrow. Like I say, it's just an info session, a quickie for organizations or individuals who could be in a position to support local applicants, meaning answer their questions, help them figure out stuff on the application. That's what I expect.
Nice.
Okay, thank you. On to progress reports, and first up is grant applications and updates.
Well, we're mostly in a holding pattern. All of the big grants that we already know about being awarded, the paperwork is proceeding at a glacial pace on all of it. I will say, also late today, I had an email from Senator Blumenthal's, one of his handlers. He may be in Thompson this coming Monday to do a little presser and rah-rah at 65 Main. It sounded like he definitely wanted to do it on that day, 1:30 in the afternoon, but then a subsequent email said he's also got something in New Haven. So right now it's tentative. As I work through that with his handler, if that actually confirms, I think it would be nice if some of us could get over and maybe tidy up a little on that property and inside. The nips, by the way, are all stored there, which means they'd have to sort of be moved out of the way so people could walk through. But I will let everybody here know that when that is either confirmed or not. If he doesn't come on Monday, I will definitely be trying to arrange that with Blumenthal, Murphy, and Courtney for whatever point later in the summer that we are doing a sort of similar kind of thing for the DECD Brownfield grant. That's been on our short list as well. But again, there's no ink dry on that contract, so we haven't, settled on when that's going to be either. I personally would like to do those two things on the same day, so that we can do a walkthrough with Blumenthal and with Luck, Murphy, and Courtney into the whole neighborhood. That is really what I want to do, so that I can emphasize some stuff like brownfield funding and the kinds of placemaking efforts that we've had some success with grants, and seeing if there are any other discretionary programs that they can push us towards. So those are all the sort of the big ones that are out there. They're all just in a waiting pattern. In terms of stuff that we are waiting to hear from, we should hear this month about the AARP grant for the pickleball court, which I cannot say without laughing.
No.
You just can't. What else do we have out there that's relative to EDC? Tomorrow and Friday, Brian Levency and I are each submitting actually Brian is putting them through because he's got the idea, but we've each prepared a grant for the 2 camp programs that run through Thompson. Levency's is the main camp, the adventure camp, and he's been working on that. And the Explore the Trail camp that we piloted last year that we're trying to expand with TLGV, there are grants available for up to $75,000. Good night, Amy. I see your note there. Those grants are available for up to $75,000, and they appear to be giving them out very generously. So we are hoping to get about $26,000 to put towards Trails Camp. That will also be notified before the end of the month, according to their own paperwork, which gives them 11 days to review all their apps. And then the third one is, I believe this month TLGV will be announcing the awards on the grant program that I applied to for Litter League. We may be asking ourselves, what about Litter League? We haven't talked about that. It's kind of stalled. If we don't get that TLGV grant, I'm going to consider that a next year project. If we do get that TLGV grant, I will tell you right now, I am suddenly going to kick into high gear so we can get some form of that program moving and on the ground. But that all kind of remains to be seen. I'm pretty sure that's everything for grants
A question
related to this commission.
to me, I think of the work that we're doing. We're motivating. We're helping to nudge along at the train wreck site, and there's some work that needs to be done, and money has been held back. There's also easement that needs to be signed so that the work can progress. We're getting to a point where we'll be at the busiest time of year for that area. I got the report today from Connecticut Trails and posted it. It's available on social media, and I can make it available if anybody needs it. There were some months in the first year of the COVID where we had more people, but generally the trend is that there's more people going there anyway. Since the counter went up, each year the baseline has gone up. We're one of the lowest populations in the state that's got a counter, not the lowest, but one of them. And still we can see solid increase in traffic on it. Fits exactly our mission about branding. It's outdoor, it's find your own way, it's do things, and so I'm interested to know that those projects will be moving forward.
Well, they will be. I still don't have a signed contract. I did have a conversation with CT Deep shortly before, the week before I went out on vacation. So I believe I will have a contract soon. They had some questions about that easement as well.
Yes,
Because, well, it was really their acquisition division wanted to know how all that was going to work as they're writing up the final paperwork. So I clarified that for them, and I believe that we are all set in terms of them understanding the progress of events. So hopefully that was the piece that will unlock actually getting the contract from them. We can't touch a dime of that money until that's done. And I had assumed we would be able to start some of that work this year. I'm still pretty optimistic that we'll get something started this year, but it is beyond our control when that might be until I have a contract in hand.
I understand that, and there's work that definitely has to be done by a professional. But you'll be amazed at how quickly the volunteers are going to swarm across that area once it's open and available to them. And that's not,
Excuse
that's
me?
just
That
from the
was
enthusiasm I see.
Yeah, Renee?
are you talking about it? Is it an easement like from the Butlers, or who's the easement?
Yeah,
What's
the
the easement about?
it's the Butlers. It's essentially the first step in what will ultimately probably be an acquisition process. They have a memorandum of understanding so that we can work there to get the turntable installed. They've had it for months. I think they may have even signed it. It's just very difficult for me to get in touch with Vern and Julie because they're both so busy. At the very latest, I will see Vern at the June Agriculture Commission meeting. If I am able to get over there in the meantime, with some notice and say, hey, can I pick it up? I'll do so, but I haven't been able to do that yet. They're going to sign the MOU. That I'm not concerned about. Once the MOU is signed, there is still negotiation with the Butlers as to the eventual disposition of that 1.1 acre parcel. I believe that we all agree that the most favorable thing is for the town to acquire it in the interim and then eventually transfer the ownership of that piece to Deep so that the entire train wreck park is a CT Deep property. And that's part of what the grant is for. Actually, the $16,000 includes money for legal fees and acquisition of that particular piece. It's just a matter of everybody hashing it out. I don't expect any friction there. It's just slow as molasses.
I spoke with Vern a few times, and I didn't expect this much of a delay. But people had approached me and said, hey, are you interested? Should we go over there and start doing the work? And
No, the answer is no.
I told them no. I said, nothing can be done. And besides, I wasn't on that committee. I was on the committee to help find contractors. And I did that. Ryan LaFredo and I were out together with a couple of other volunteers on Saturday. And this is, again, the airline trail is part of what we're doing. John Kachikis has a friend who has a bobcat-sized scoop shovel, and he's volunteered to help us to clean out the storm drains. I don't know. I asked Matt Quinn, copied a few other people, and said, can we do this? I know if Deep was going to do it, if ConDOT was going to do it, or if DPW was going to do it, they would use a backhoe. Well, we've been doing it with a shovel, so it's not enough. It needs more work. But it was a good day. Met some good people too.
Anything else with grant apps and updates?
I guess it's worth mentioning. I think there's a high likelihood that I will be submitting a joint application with Thompson Congregational Church and possibly one or more additional private partners to that same Connecticut Communities Challenge grant. it's one of those things where the municipal partner has to be the lead applicant, but there would be no financial commitment from the town. And that would be to work up an application to have some renovation solutions for the Thompson Congregational Church that would be forward facing. I'm having a conversation with the president of their volunteer board tomorrow morning. I won't say it's 100% that we're going to be submitting a joint application, but I would say the chances are pretty high.
Good.
Next up, we have an update on the EDC business marketing strategy. Did everybody see the survey that Tira sent out the link for?
I think I glanced at it and didn't think I wanted to take the time to answer it, but I gotta say no.
Well, here's the thing.
I saw it.
It really is quick. I actually took it. We had some comments from Dan saying, in his opinion, he thinks there should be more questions. And part of our discussion earlier was, if you have it too long, nobody will take it.
Well,
This
just to be clear, it did have 15 questions when I first put it together, and some of those questions included comment fields. You
Right.
have to pay extra for comment fields, and you have to pay extra to have anything over 10 questions. I will say I actually agreed with Dan's points, but I have the I have the pricing plans for SurveyMonkey open on my desktop here. An individual annual plan. Well, we wouldn't get anything for the lowest price one that we couldn't get for free, which is really stupid. But the Advantage annual is $32 a month, $384 billed annually. If EDC thinks it is worthwhile to have a subscription so that we can use that tool, $384 out of a budget that we have been sitting on is not onerous. I could sign up for that tomorrow if you guys want to vote on that. If, on the other hand, everybody is happy with the survey as is, that's fine as well.
Tira?
Yeah.
You're something and of course it could be, just in my brain. I didn't know that if Rec might have had a subscription at one point.
I was
Leslie there.
thinking,
I could be wrong.
I was thinking that same thing, actually, because I know she did a couple of surveys. But I don't know if she
That
just
maybe
used the
she
free
did
function or
one
not.
too. Yeah. Well, it's worth just checking into. You could make a motion to spend the money if people wanted to upgrade, and in case Rec doesn't have it. If people want to go that way,
I'll make a motion that we spend that money. It sounds like a small amount, $360.
84.
Yeah.
Well, it depends.
If it's
I
not
like it.
already available, then we should maximize this opportunity.
So what you would get for a $384 annual contract would be an unlimited number of surveys, an unlimited number of questions per survey. It will allow you to receive back up to 2,500 responses per month. Email support. You can do quizzes with feedback. You can customize with logos. You can do data exports. I mean, it actually is significantly more robust than the free or the what they call the standard annual, which is $192, but gets you almost nothing other than the unlimited number of surveys. That $16 a month, you're still limited to 10 questions per survey and 40 responses per survey. So the jump up to the 384, I would say, if you want to pay for a subscription, is worth it.
How much interconnectivity is this with the town's website so that other departments can see it and share it. And
Well, you're creating links like I did. So you create the link and then you drop that link on whatever site or social media or email platform you want to use.
Just at another point that it sounds like the EDC would never create the number of, it's an unlimited survey, right? And the number of responses per month, you know, I don't anticipate we're going to ever get near that. Why wouldn't we then offer it to other departments who may survey for whatever, whether it's rec, whether it's inland wetlands, board of selectmen?
Yeah,
It
I
just
would
makes
say, I would say once one department has the license, essentially, there's no reason not to do it. Now, the difference between that, it's kind of like with Zoom, right?
Yep.
We have 2 or 3 people who have Zoom licenses, and there are team plans like that as well. The basic one being $25 per user per month, starting at 3 users. So it's really $75 a month. You know, they don't describe it that way.
Well, I
but
guess
that's
all
what
I'm
it
saying
is.
is, oh, how hard is it for you to give somebody like the first selectman your login and they do their own without
It's
having
not
to
hard.
pay
It's
for
not hard at
additional-
all, I would think. That's why I'm saying it's like Zoom. I mean, how many people use Marie's login, right? I happen to pay for my own login
Exactly,
out of
yeah.
my office budget because I host so many meetings.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's
Exactly.
I see no barrier there. But you're right to remind me, Renee, that there may be such a thing existing in rec. Although if Leslie subscribed to it, it's possible that the subscription has not been renewed. So I will
Exactly,
ask.
yeah.
I'll ask Levency about that tomorrow.
And my only thought was, you know, it was abbreviated over what we had agreed to, but I'm also thinking, you know, again, the longer it is, the less likely anybody's going to answer it. It might have been a good first try.
now you got to
on a
have,
survey.
after they answer 10 questions, fireworks go off and then all that.
Well,
I like,
the real thing was that we couldn't have any comment fields. Like there were some
Yeah.
yes, like there was a question. There's a question on there. Are you a member of TBA? Yes or no. In my original iteration, underneath that was a comment field, why or why not. I
Right.
would think that that is valuable information, and not having the ability to get those comment captures, I think is worth having the subscription level. To me, it would be.
Well,
Yeah,
especially when we could
I
share
agree.
it.
I agree. I like Dan's comments. It shouldn't be a long survey, but my feeling when I read through it was exactly what you just said. That you're getting an answer, but it's not giving you an answer. I didn't see value in it with just those questions, with either not more questions or a comment.
So it's up to you guys. If you want to vote to authorize the expenditure, I can check to make sure that we don't already have an active subscription through the rec department. And assuming that you approve the expenditure, I'll just sign up.
Sign up and also begin to get the word around other departments and boards and commissions so that they can start using it as well.
Yeah, if I sign up for it, I'll do that. I'll send an email to the other department heads that is an option that they have.
That's my motion.
You're making a motion to spend the $384 to expand the service. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, let's go for it.
Sure.
So at least, yeah, we can get back to the original questions that I had sent in last month. Okay. Website. Next up is website notes. My only thing that I noticed this month is I have to talk to Brian Levency, I guess. There's no calendar updates for Thompson Rec. There's blank calendars. And I don't know why that is.
It might be because Amanda just got back to work from parental leave this week or the very end of last week.
Okay, if she's the one that's been doing that, then that makes sense. But even the June 25th wasn't on there. We had the Maker Fair on there, which is now gone because it's passed.
Right.
Oh, shut up. They're all crank calls. Yeah, anyway. 11th Village progress. It's really nice to see the bank facade is up. They got used during the Maker Fair. I was able to talk to more people about what we're planning for the 10 villages. It's nice that we have the third one in progress right now. During that bank and TBA mixer last week, there was one woman who's thinking of joining TBA. And she said, what I really want to do is mentor people. And I love working with kids. And I said, have we got a job for you? Really? So I explained, part of the plan with the selling used books and, however it comes to pass, I'll keep an eye on her.
I did have a meeting. I came in a couple days on my vacation for a couple of meetings, one of them being with Melinda and Katie Butler, who is in the transitional student program that they have up there, which is the specific group that is targeted to mostly to run the student-run bookstore. And I, again, repeated that I think I need from the school side some very clear outlines of what they can and can't do and what they are prepared to do and what they need TBA to support them with. And I've asked them to have that to me by the next, before the next TBA meeting. I expect that they will. Melinda seems very excited about it. I think she was going to try to arrange a field trip, maybe with her transitional staffers, down to either the equivalent run one down in Trumbull. There's 3 or 4 of them. There's Trumbull, there's Essex, West Hartford, and there's a 4th one. I can't remember where it is. Now, those are all slightly different projects than ours in that they are in an actual brick and mortar building, not in a seasonal installation, but there's enough parallels that they can learn from and try to make their outline. I still have to connect with Anne about the possibility of Teague having a similar mentorship program for some of their adult clientele, essentially to, and she was leaning towards something like baked goods, so that when the things open on the weekend, the Teague folks are in one with baked goods and press pots of coffee or whatever, and the kids have the bookstore with the TBA staff acting essentially as site supervisors, helping the students with money counting or any kind of sort of customer service management issues that might come up. Because even though you think what could possibly come up in a student-run used bookstore, from many years working in retail, I can tell you something always comes up. But everybody seems excited now to get it done. So now we still need to finish the 3 that we have, right? There's progress on the facades, but none of them done. The plan is still to have at least 3 and possibly 4 done by Community Day.
Yeah.
So I just have to keep in touch with Mike on that to see what he needs next, when he needs it. We've got about $4,500 left in the encumbrance. Well, there were 2 encumbrances, one of which we have $4,500 left in. That's the one that we reallocated to the public schools. So whatever materials Mike needs from that, he's, going to buy him and essentially bill me, invoice me, and then I send the check up to the school. That's been working pretty well. The second one, which is for the $1,000, both of which were originally encumbered to Dave Eddy, we are holding to do a potential single one-time startup order of a pallet of Hertz and Remainders books. So they have some starting inventory. And then subsequent to that, it would be run on donations. But just to get them off the ground. So there is a plan there. And a lot of people are working on it now.
The thought just occurred to me because so many people are working on it. Does the high school have videography courses? Somebody that can be documenting all this stuff? This is really interesting timing and interesting work that we're seeing done here.
I do not know the answer to that question. Renee might.
Who's the person that did the videography out at Trainwreck Park? Maybe that person could mentor someone. I don't know. Easy for me to volunteer other people.
I would bet that they have something at the high school. I'm not sure, but it seems like it would
There
be
should
a
be.
thing.
There
Yeah.
should be, and I think the public access providers, the internet providers, the broadband providers in this that cover this area should be invited to get involved and help us out.
Yeah, just not Verizon.
They got
Oh,
hits.
now it's not this agenda item, but interesting that you bring up Verizon, Mr. Yacino. Chris Nelson had sent me an email, remember a couple months ago at TBA, I'd suggested that the membership, draft a letter essentially saying how crappy the coverage is for Verizon, and I would find a way to get it delivered. So I did at least find out who the contact person is for this area, and initiated that email contact, like who do we have to kill to get decent service up here? Now I haven't had a second response, but at least that thread is open. Sorry, Charlie, I didn't mean to jump on you there.
No, that's good.
Hey,
We
hey,
need
Tara.
to get these things fixed for community-wide broadband, and unless we can get their buy-in and get some cooperation from them, it's going to be an uphill battle all the way.
Mhm.
Tara, I wonder if we could also work that angle from Spectrum. I found out that Spectrum's phone service, which is very aggressively priced, is through Verizon. And Spectrum is our cable provider in town.
I was wondering about that, Brian. Who provided the spectrum?
Yeah, well, I was updating my cable and I was talking to them, and of course they're trying to sign me up. And if I didn't already have my BYOD discount through Walmart, now through my daughter, my price is as aggressive as theirs, but their pricing was great. But I was telling them, I said, even if I didn't have it, I would question it because I get signals on AT&T in town when people with Verizon can't get anything.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a little while before to let this guy reply to me before I dive back in there again. As I had said to Chris Nelson at that TBA meeting, I said, go ahead and make your pitch, and I'll co-sign it. And whatever that pitch is, it should close with, you should be aware that we are advising new customers to sign up with AT&T because we can't get service from your company. But that's an inconvenience for some, so we'd like to resolve it. Pointing out those things. I mean, if they're competitors, and they should be reacting to that.
Well, like I said, at least the service used to be better. We know that they changed something. So we know that they could change something back.
I know my service got better after T-Mobile bought Sprint. So I still don't get it down, I think, at the library or the town hall. I'm not sure.
The only people who get service in that area are people with AT&T. Or Renee has a carrier that she gets service on that's not AT&T too, but almost nobody else.
Great talk.
And that's why Spectrum would probably take interest in it, because if they're pushing their cell service this hard and Verizon's their provider and they provide cable TV to whoever subscribes in town, you would think if they want to sell cellular service in town, they'd make sure there were signals.
I would think that you're correct. But
Yeah, there might
I
be a
don't
good
work for
partner in
those
this.
guys.
Anyway, where were we on the agenda? That was quite a
11th
digression.
Village.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
We were talking about video production of 11th Village,
Right.
and one thing led to another.
Well,
So,
there's a
Thank you,
long
Renee.
way around to say we're in a holding pattern, but it's a holding pattern with forward momentum.
yeah.
Moving upwards.
Now, next up is the NIPS program. Tara, should I leave that on the agenda, or would you like to just update when we get to comments every month?
No, it's all right. I mean, it only takes a second. We have 5 carved blocks of foam plus the original Mike Joyce skeleton, which my beloved husband took it upon himself to revive. In fact, that one actually has a concrete base and is curing out in the back of our house. I should really start scheduling NIPS washing parties now that the weather has turned. I think I will probably wait until after Memorial Day for that. Once we start accumulating the cleaned bottles, I can get them over to Sarah. Since we've made so much progress on the bodies, last year I wanted to get one installed by Community Day. I would still like to get one installed by Community Day. I have more time ahead of me with Sarah and Chris to get one done. I am not going to hurry on this project. I want them to be right and correct. We have all the materials. It's just the volunteer labor to get the components assembled. I will tell you, the idea of putting the first one together from soup to nuts, I have some trepidation because it is a new format for me, instant expert, just add water, concrete sculpture. But Sarah and Chris and I have a little rhythm with carving the bodies, and we'll get that rhythm back with the bleach water parties at the house. And I imagine I'll be seeing a lot of you over the summer and buying you all pizza.
Related to NIPS, has the town released anything or planned to release anything publicity wise on the money it's gotten from the NIPS? I bring that up because again, at dinner last week with Jill and G's, Tommy Angelo started to tell me, oh, Putnam got this $18,000 check from the NIPS, and what do we have to do to get in on this, and how did they get it?
We have it.
Yeah,
there
I know, but
actually
other
was a
people don't.
mistake. It looked like we got almost $20,000 or just over $20,000. We didn't. We got just over 10. They sent us 2 checks, and one of those checks was a mistake. But it's still around $10,000. Nobody has decided what to do with that money yet. So once we do decide what to do with it, and it is restricted funding, it has to be related to litter management, solid waste management, things of that nature.
The Little League.
Well, that is one of the options on the table, but it hasn't been decided. Despite the fact that everybody seems to think of me as the NIPS lady, it's not. It's not my money. It's the town's money. Therefore, it is up to the Board of Selectmen ultimately how to disperse it. That money will be coming every year. In fact, it comes twice a year. So that might represent 6 months worth of remittances, or it might be that the first one is for a full year because of when the legislation came in, or maybe like 9 months because it was June legislation and it went through to April 1st or whatever. That sounds more correct.
That's still a victory.
It is. I expect it's going to be about $10,000 a year. And to be put into
I think it makes sense. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Renee. I talked too much.
I was just going to say, I mean, well, it would be nice. Those are your words. It would be nice to pull the people together that were involved in the whole NIP program here in Thompson, members of, Thompson Together, even folks who did the NIP picking and obviously EDC, and do a little break. I know it's not a lot of money, but if it's going to come in on a regular basis, you should put what it's going to be you not be like
Pizza and beer?
it would laugh. But I have no suggestions for at this point, but I mean, it would be nice to involve those folks. That works. Yeah,
think-
that pizza and beer at the NIPS cleaning parties. There you go.
I think
No,
part of the reason it
Saying, I
hasn't
think
been
it's a nice
discussed.
idea, then, and I agree with Sarah that it's not one person deal that, you know, how it gets spent. That's all. I think it should be a collaborative thing.
I think
That's
part of the
all.
reason it hasn't been discussed more yet is because the transfer station committee, advisory committee, obviously also has a vested interest in those funds, but we do not have a director of public works who is the de facto supervisor of that facility as well. So I think there's at least some reluctance to commit it without having a better sense of their needs. Also, it's a very small amount of money in the grand scheme of things, so it hasn't been anybody's front of mind. I've mentioned it a few times, but it just hasn't filtered to the top of anybody's attention.
Well, it's also money, I believe, that could be put in a transfers fund to be built up. So maybe there is, you know, something major that could be purchased in 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever. So I would think that that money does not, I'm guessing, I don't know the restrictions on it, but it seems to me that it could be put into a transfer account kind of as a savings for a bigger item. But
I think it could be, yes. I think that would be well within the guidelines.
Pizza and beer in the Bahamas.
I like your ideas.
Yeah,
Not all of them. Not all of them.
the pizza and beer comes out of my pocket, guys.
Okay.
That's the,
We can always have pizza and nips that could feed your project.
no, there will be no nips consumed at my home.
I wondered what would happen if we had a compactor at the transfer station just for nips.
I think that there's no practical application for that.
Cubes of
Anyway,
nips.
next item, Mr. Chairman.
Let's move on. We have next up is bicycling and other outdoor events.
Okay,
Charlie and Brian.
we had the ribbon cutting after our last meeting, and most of you were there. Those of you that weren't know that you should know that one of our visitors was from the Department of Transportation of Massachusetts, and he was trying to pin down and identify a connection route between Dudley and Douglas. But the railroad that went through that area is not available to us. And so he and I looked at Plan B, and he likes it, and he's going to put it into their literature, identifying Thompson as part of this Grand Trunk Rail Trail. Over that bridge in West Thompson Dam, and other projects are coming through that area as well. I think that is a showcase, and we were we should be very pleased with the finished product and how it reflects in the town and how it attracts to the town. There was discussion about the Natchog Epic. Good Friday down in Putnam, I met with planners from that group and local supporters, and was told that the event will begin next year to be Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And that starting in Putnam, they want to have a concert on Friday night, and they want to have other events, workshops on Saturday. I don't know the details of that. I was asked to help to find out what it would take to be able to put a concert out in late March in Putnam. And I still haven't seen the prices. But we had the list submitted, and the sponsors or the promoters rightfully pointed out that really it's up to the towns to decide how much success they want to share with this event. The event planners spoke of having opportunities, for example, for Jill and G's to be participating in the event and have 500 bicycle riders come down past Jill and G's with people ringing cowbells as the attraction while their brunch is going on. Makes a lot of sense, but it's up to the town and up to the merchants in the town to really buy into this. I did share with Tira at another meeting that the opportunities for restaurants and B&Bs in Thompson just suddenly got a weekend that probably wasn't going to have any weddings. You know, the last weekend in March just isn't like that. So we could tie into that. We could do much more with that within the town. Somebody else will have to push that ball up the hill. We are also getting GPS maps. I think they call it Stratas or Stravas. I don't have the app because I don't have room in my phone, but it maps wherever people have gone, and they already are sending their files that we could then have uploaded onto the town's webpage and send over to Connecticut Trail Finder. Any trails that have with whole or part in Thompson are, I'm seeking them out and bringing them in to help to make this town more interesting and attractive to people that are riding bikes.
Charlie, I think the app that you're talking about is called Strava.
Stravas, okay. See, I have dyslexia and it throws letters around sometimes and I can never pronunciate them after that. So things are looking up. Opportunities are presenting themselves for Thompson area business to capitalize on the attractiveness of this town to bicyclists.
Well, that's what we want.
That's what we set out to do.
Right. Yeah, next up is the update on the commercial real estate networking group. We got together on May 3rd at Lord Thompson Manor. And Andrew did the food, right? We didn't use our money?
He refused to take our money.
Right. Because we had voted to appropriate up to $200. He did a nice snacky spread for us, and he refused to take money, so we still have that in the budget. It was a nice group. We did give out Z maps for anybody interested. We did present our plans for the town and how we've been working to improve economic development. I even got a lead on somebody to talk to set up a food truck event and talk to Brian Levency, and he thinks he had just gotten the same lead. Food trucks events is something we had talked about and TBA had talked about.
Brian?
Yeah.
Before I forget this?
Yeah.
How do you select which businesses go on the digital sign?
People who
Wouldn't it be a
to,
nice thank you to say thank? I
thank
was
you.
just going to say it would be a nice use of the sign to thank Andrew, to thank Lord Thompson Manor for hosting, and I think it'd be a nice. I was thinking thank you letter for him supplying the food, but now I'm thinking it'd be better to put him on the sign.
Oh, I imagine Marie can do that. Just throw it into the rotation.
Right. So wouldn't it be nice if you sent that to her?
I'll
If you think it's a good idea.
Well, you're doing one business a month, right? So Kim H.E. has
Yes.
until the next TBA meeting, but if that's the option that you guys choose to take, I think that's totally legit.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't put something else in that rotation. I mean, Marie
Yeah,
has
it's
a
like-
rotation. It'll say, you know, town meeting coming up, then it'll say business of the month, and then, but I imagine you could put another thing in the rotation without
Yeah,
kicking
you
somebody
can,
out.
and then I wouldn't keep it up a month. I would just use it as a thank you. You know, maybe leave it there, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, and it's not really the business of the month. It's just saying, hey, thank you, Lord Thompson Manor, for doing this.
Yeah, I would suggest not replacing business of the month. See if we can put it up in addition.
Okay, I thought you were saying just to have the manor be the business of the month in the following month. Okay,
I think that's
I'm with
what
you
Renee
now.
was
I'm with you
saying.
now.
But yeah, I can always talk to her about that. We pick the business of the month at the meeting. We draw business cards and, you know, we promise them it's up there for a month.
So I thought that meeting went particularly well. I actually had, Renee knows this, one of the commercial realtors who was there, Jay Lorette, came in today with one of his investment partners, talking about some ideas for projects in Thompson. So they were very jazzed by it. In fact, Jay Lorette asked me if he could join Thompson's EDC. He doesn't live in Thompson. So I told him, well, you can't join, but you can attend. And he said he was going to try to start to do that. He wasn't able to come in tonight, but I mean, he was very, very interested in everything that the folks in this group were saying about what we're trying to do. You know, sort of the vision for the future, the branding, the marketing. He thought all that was great. Tony Chabot was similar. Actually, I think all four of us, Yacino, you and Tony and Jay and I were sort of talking in the parking area on the way out. So I think that was an extremely successful, I don't know, one time or once a year opportunity for us to really promote ourselves and shine. And I got to tell you, I've been to more of those, and you know, a handful of those prior, and you guys knocked it out of the park. I mean, part of it is obviously the venue. Who else gets a venue like that?
Fireplace going, yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing. But it made a great
Hey,
impression.
Tira,
Yeah.
how about a presser on, like, hey, this happened, it was, you know, these folks attended, blah, 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 whatever, you know the words,
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I would put in in a general press release. I'm not sure what I would do with that. That might be
Well,
more of a
it's
thing
something
for
that
for our I think that might be a more appropriate thing for our Facebook feed as opposed to a true press release out to media. It feels more intimate than a real press release, but I certainly think that we could talk about that in that context.
You could try something on Facebook and then expound on it if you think that it makes a proper story. I do think it makes a proper story. Should we, I make a motion that we volunteer to host next May's breakfast for the commercial realtors.
Well, is that open? I mean, we don't know what I'm okay with that. I don't know what their schedule is.
They're doing one more in June, and then they're on a summer hiatus. So I don't know how far out they're scheduled, but I can find out at the June meeting.
And
Yeah,
would
that'd
it
be
be,
great. I agree with Charlie. It wouldn't be bad to get on a rotation with them.
Sure.
It helps
mean,
us, and I think as our energy helps them to, as Tira said, that guy that came in and now he wants to join the EDC.
Well, it was funny that guy Jay, he recognized me. I knew him when. He was in the parts department at Putnam Chrysler, which is one of my customers. So he remembered me. I just knew he looked familiar. I had no idea from where. So we had a good conversation. It's funny, you
Hey,
know,
how
who you
about-
run into.
How about, just a quick letter saying it's the Eastern whatever, right? Eastern,
I would have,
whatever.
yeah, I would
Commercial
have
Real
to,
Estate Networking Group. Is that right?
Well, all I'm saying is maybe from Brian as president of EDC, just say, look, we were thrilled with this event and we'll be happy to host. And you just make it more of a formal thing. Like we felt it was really successful. It's feedback for them. It's very worthy. And I know Tara will say all that, but it doesn't hurt to put it in writing.
Yeah.
And
you're
then get
right.
it on their radar that we'd be happy to do one next spring. I don't know, my 2 cents.
yeah, I think that's a good
I'll keep
idea,
cleaning
Renee.
my pool. I've been cleaning my pool this whole time.
I've been trying to figure out what all that background noise is. The birdies, I hear your birdies.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Brian, if you want to write that letter, I think I created some EDC letterhead for you with the new logo, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's even when I turn in the agenda to Heather, I use the letterhead.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so nice formal on letterhead letter to, I would address it to Bill and to Carolyn, because Carolyn's taking over for Bill. He's retiring from that position.
Yes.
And one to Andrew while you're at it. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Next up, Tara, you had a note just to let people know that you kind of starting to solicit proposals for next year's senior class.
yeah, I got an email from the faculty member who is the point person for the UConn senior students. As you know, none of the proposals I made for this past academic year were selected, which was too bad, but put some thought into what we think we could benefit from student help with in the coming year. I think that, as I recall, he likes to have those proposals in hand by the beginning of August at the latest. Nothing is jumping off the page to me right at this moment. Eventually, I'm sure something will pop into my head, but happy to solicit those ideas.
I think that's, I don't know, in the past, I think it's been used for multiple things. It would certainly make sense to, and you probably are going to do this anyway, but to include the Board of Selectmen, because there might be projects with DPW or whoever that you don't even, are aware of, that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So they're just starting their process, right? Are they going to come up with something soon, or do they stop working on this for the summer?
Well, what happens is I get that solicitation email from their department head or whoever that gentleman is as they're closing their academic year, so that in the summer hiatus, we can develop our proposals, and then they have them ready to go for the student teams to review and select from when they start up in the fall.
Okay, so we can throw this on the next agenda.
And I would definitely do that.
All right. The final item, progress reports. We have events. Maker Fair, June Expo, August Fairy Fest. The Maker Fair, as you know, was postponed a week, which caused us to lose our food trucks. We had a couple of really good alternatives. Drafters set up for the first time. They had pulled pork, they had mac and cheese. They had a couple other dishes. They had been smoking meat for a couple of days. That turned out really good. They picked out another food truck from Southbridge. It's called South 9. They did everything you could possibly do with French fries and or hot dogs. You talk about thinking out of the box where everybody's got hamburgers and hot dogs. These guys had a whole menu of what to do with French fries. My part of my family was there and they loved them. They had what they called like sweet and sour, S9 French fries. 9 spices and sugar. And the fries were delicious. They had a French fry salad with lettuce, tomato, and the fixings. So last minute, I assumed that Brian Levency had pulled this together. It was so good. He's thinking, I think, of asking South 9 to go to the June Expo.
So I never got down to that end because I was working my booth up at the other end. You were wandering up and down that whole
Well, this was
promenade.
my end to keep moving. So yeah.
Right. So observationally, did the 2 food vendors seem like they were getting good traffic for their trouble? Because that's always a concern with the
I
food vendors.
talked to them specifically. I always do. See what they think. I talked to them as they were setting up and as the day was going on. They did get a really nice lunchtime rush. Especially the line for South 9 was pretty long. And drafters seemed to do well. I didn't talk to them at the end of the event because I had left. I had been there since 8:30 and I had other stuff to do. But it was looking good and they were optimistic.
Renee, did you have a chance to follow up with the restaurants about the flyer? Last year, Leslie and I went over to Drafters and we talked to them anecdotally and they said they had a bang up day, but that was the regular day. I'm just curious to know if we had any sense of whether the area restaurants got a similar boost this time around.
I did not talk to anyone. I could message, because last time too, Dan Rainey from Milltown, I happened to run into him and he said it was the best day he had ever had. And, he's been in business for a bit. So I'll message him. And actually, Crystal, I think I can message her too from Drafters and see. From what I understand, not having attended the event, that, the numbers being down, I can't imagine that, it was the same, but.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't the
I can
same.
check.
Yeah, the rain dates are always a mess. Not that we had any choice, right? There was absolutely no way that people could have come out on the original date. The wind was so terrible and the temperature was so bad.
But that was the disappointment.
Yeah.
Speaking with the vendors themselves, they were disappointed with the traffic, but they understood. We had a thing going on in Killingly. We had the Brimfield Flea Market, plus a rain date. So yeah, they were just hoping for the best. I did get a lot of feedback from them.
Although I have to say, who is it? Lenky called me about something unrelated and mentioned, I guess one of the vendors is a neighbor of his. He said she did $600 that day.
Oh, I wonder which one it was.
I don't know either. He didn't identify her to me, but so I think some folks did well. I mean, I definitely saw people walking out with bags,
Right.
But again, just nothing like the volume. I think we should absolutely keep it on the first weekend in May or the day before Mother's Day, one way or the other, because that isn't always the first weekend in May. But it absolutely cannot be opposite Brimfield. It can't. Brimfield is the biggest thing in the region.
Well, even the Killingly thing was hurting us.
I'm sure it was too.
Half of my family was down there. So
I wonder for a rain date, we could do the Sunday instead of moving it a whole week.
Well, if we're talking about going the day before Mother's Day, which is a good idea, by the way, because people could bring their kids out and shop for mom and grandma.
I think you get the same thing if you do it on Mother's Day.
You think so?
Sure, why not? I mean, you're going out to do something for or with your mother. Why wouldn't that thing be a craft show?
All right, I didn't think of it that way. I was thinking there's people, traveling to go see mom and grandma. So they might not be around, but yeah, you're right. They could just as easily bring mom and grandma.
then mothers, you can't have any mothers working the booths either, or vendors. I think that's a bad day.
Well, that's not a bad point, Joanne, that some of those, I mean, it is a vast majority
sure.
women who are vendors, right? So maybe
Yeah.
that's a conflict for them. So that's an interesting, do you know, Renee? I suspect the answer is no. Has a survey been sent out since the close to the vendors? Because we could solicit that as an answer to one of the questions.
I do not know if it has, and it definitely should be. So that'll be a reminder for Brian.
Well, Brian and I are going to be spending some quality time together, trying to drop at least one of those 2 grant applications into the online platform. So I will bring it up to him then.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, you know, EDC is considering too that, you know, with all that rec has going on, I am getting a little nervous that the quality of things is going to get lost, is beginning to get lost. And so I know that rec is like one of those partners all the time, but you got to keep that in the back of the mind that it does us no good if the quality of an event is not there. And
Well, did you think it was lost on this one, Renee?
I think there could have been more promotion. I think in the past, we worked closer with our intern to get her to promote the businesses online. There was a lot more. I think there's a lot more last minute stuff that happens now as far as advertising. And I mean, I for one would have liked to see more happening along those lines. I don't know everything that they did for advertising, but
I think we definitely need to go over this stuff.
Yes, and
Both
we haven't had a after the event meeting yet. And that needs to happen. So now we're moving on to another grant, and this event is kind of like already on the back burner, and it really shouldn't be. That like a follow-up meeting should be scheduled. There should be an agenda for it. And I get it. There's only so much time in a day, and that gets right back to my point. In order to keep quality stuff, it doesn't mean quantity is, you know, the answer to everything.
I agree, Renee. So let's talk tomorrow, you and I, to Brian, and let's get that meeting scheduled. Beth wants to do it via Zoom.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of setting the time aside.
I love Zoom. I can clean my pool.
Yeah, I'd like to sit in too if I can.
Oh,
Of course.
absolutely.
And
Are you
we
on
should
that
also-
committee?
We should also be
You're
doing
on
some
that committee.
post-event promotion, which we never get around to. Pictures from the event, make it look like it went really well and people look forward to next year.
We did do that last year. We had we had a different intern, right? So we went from having 1 intern to 2 interns back down to 1. And the 1 intern is now doing tasks from both of the prior intern positions. Consequently, I don't think there is as much of either task getting done, but they are both getting done. But Zay, I know, went and did some posting and stuff.
But that's
Yeah.
exactly Renee's point.
Day of, the same
If one
day.
person is being asked to do too much, they can't do it all.
I think,
Maybe we need another intern or what, I'm not sure.
in this, in the case with this intern, she was a vendor as well. So that's where that,
So perhaps
That was part of the
one of the early surveys that Renee or that Tara works out when she gets that software license is to each of the vendors or each of the people that was responsible behind the scenes and starts to form up an agenda. What should we talk about? Comment blocks. But you're right. We do need
Yeah, I
to
think-
we do need to look at what went right and what went wrong. And just like with that special election, that special town meeting, we look at what went right and what went wrong, and we make sure that we don't fall into a mistake. We can write things up, we can set things up so we don't make a mistake.
or we make fewer, or we don't make the same mistake. We'll always make mistakes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's make some new and exciting mistakes.
There you go. It's another goal that I bet we can achieve.
Now, to that end, I am going to suggest, and I doubt anybody's going to disagree, that we do not pursue Fairy Fest this year. We have not put any energy into it yet. We do not have Ann Montero's playbook. She never got it to us. I'm not saying we mothball it forever, but I do not think that between now and the end of August, we can put together a high enough quality event.
I think that would depend on her. It was her idea.
She's out. She doesn't,
Okay.
she wanted to hand it off to us in the first place, which would be fine if she had given us her playbook at that time, but she didn't. She said, "Oh, I'll get it to you." Well, I don't have it.
Yeah, I think time is too short now to do a good event.
I would certainly an event of that scale, I would say, yes.
There'll be people disappointed, but I had been looking for information on it and didn't find anything, which is why I put it on the list, the agenda this month.
No, I'm glad that you did, because we've been kind of talking about it every once in a while.
Right.
We've got it, mostly me going into Brian's office and saying, if we're going to do Fairy Fest, we should start to talk about it. But then we haven't had the bandwidth. Now, what I will say about Al Montero that she did a great job of was the promotion, but she was it was the only thing on her plate, right? She had a great structure for that. But she definitely wanted to hand it off if it was going to happen in the future. So that handoff was never truly completed. I do think we should consider it for next year because I think it is a good event and I think people did like it. And I think that we have a lot of advantages with the way the park is shaped, the same reason it works well for the Maker Faire. But, it needs more thoughtful consideration.
Yeah.
I'm running out of battery.
All right. Well, we're up to the end, Charlie. We're up to comments by commission members.
You
And
can
anything
get breakfast at Milltown Grill.
Breakfast at Milltown. They're only open on Sunday for breakfast, aren't they?
I
I
think
don't know.
so.
I saw the sign when I went over to vote the other day.
I think it just says Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's anything you want on the next agenda, tell me now or sometime in the next month.
I'm interested in partial funding for a bicycle repair rack. Anybody can find one over at the farmer's market in Putnam. It stays out there all year round. The tools are on wire rope, they stay there all the time.
Oh, yeah?
We can put one next to the bike racks at the library. If EDC will fund half of it, I think we can probably get the other half from Trails Committee. They cost about $1,600 with a pump. But it's just a thought. It's part of outdoor recreation. And it's not too much money.
So that is a thought for the June agenda, because that's going to be the end of the fiscal year. Whatever we have not expended. And so before that meeting, Brian, you and I should sit down and figure out what we committed funds to, what can be spent on what it was committed to, and where you want to direct just like we do at the end of every fiscal year. But that's the next meeting. So
Okay.
that's, so make a note to yourself about that.
Yeah, I already wrote it down, Charlie, so,
I'll send you links.
okay.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
All right, next meeting, June 15th, 6:30. We'll call it at 8:05, Heather.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Have that 8:05. Have a great night.
You too.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.